Welcome to Life Lessons and Law with Lashonda. I'm your host, Lashonda Counsel Rogers. In each episode, we have authentic and entertaining conversations about the impact of the law on women. You can find this show on my website, www.thecounselfirm.com, and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Now, please join me in Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. Hi, everyone. I'm Lashonda Counsel Rogers, and you are tuning in to Life Lessons and Law. Now, before we get started, I just want you to know that this episode is going to be very, very special because I am going to be interviewing someone who is so near and dear to me that I wanted to make sure that I brought her to you very, very early. We're starting a new year, 2023, and a lot of you are talking about things related to new year, new you, but there's an important aspect of these changes that we want to talk about today. So today I have with me Leticia DeSuze. Hi, Leticia. And I can't say enough about you, Leticia, because you have been very instrumental in helping me to achieve goals that I never thought were imaginable. So although the selfish side of me wants to bottle you up for myself, I know that is not how you prosper. You must share the wealth, the information, and the knowledge. And so I want to share with our audience again about you, because every opportunity that I have to talk about you, I do. I sing your praises from the rooftop. So I am so honored to have you here today. So we're going to start. And for those who don't know, I just kind of want to dive in to what it is that you do on a daily basis. What makes you tick? What keeps you going? And how do you help minority women?
Whoa, so where do we start?
I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
What I do on a daily basis, you mean like personally, my routine, or you mean my work? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Okay, well then let's break it down then.
Okay.
I know that you have a passion for helping minority women.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us about some of the things that you're doing to help minority women.
Okay, well, on the outside of it, it probably looks like business coaching, but behind the scenes, I really am helping them grow because like I just recently did a podcast episode about you can't build beyond who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so often we're focused on money and quote unquote success, whatever that looks like for people. And we skip the part about healing, and we skip the part about personal growth and development so we can actually enjoy the things that we're actually creating. So while I do help people with business growth, that is also married to the personal growth and development. And because I have a background in ministry leadership and counseling and life coaching, it's just a beautiful blend so that I can help people both personally and entrepreneurially.
So why limited just to minority women?
I do have other women that I help, but because I am because I am a Black woman, and because I understand that we have so much unhealed trauma, we have so many stigmas and so many stereotypes, like being the strong Black woman. And I think a lot of times we wear so many hats and so many roles that we really don't get the care and attention that we actually need. And when we don't recognize that, we just go and go and go and go until we can't anymore. And I really want to change the narrative of that and say, we don't want it to just look good. We want it to be good, really, from the inside out. We're killing it in the way that we look, and
Right.
It's looking real good. But I work with people behind the scenes, and they're crumbling.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because I recently attended a very short conference about women and how we always show up, but what are we actually showing?
Mm-hmm.
And the presenter, she showed the audience this picture, and it was perfect. It was her family. She had 7 children.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was dressed, looked impeccable. And she was like, but let me show you another picture. And the other picture, her kids were going wild. she was just disheveled. And a lot of times I think we want that perfect picture and we feel like we have to be that perfect picture. But then there's something around the corner that is holding us back, or we're ashamed to admit that things are not perfect because obviously in the world of social media, we look at these pictures. People are not posting pictures of themselves at their worst. They're posting pictures of themselves at their best. And it creates an additional pressure for us, I think, as minority women to just be super outstanding, save the world when it's exhausting,
Yeah.
absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, because I think we've lost the ability, like so many of us lack like real anchoring and grounding in a spiritual way, right? And so we don't we've gotten so disconnected from ourselves, and so all of these shiny objects, go get this, go pursue that, go be this, go do that, and it puts all of this external pressure. Look this way, be the super mom, be the super wife, be the super businesswoman. And so I pull a proverbial string on some of my clients and some people that I work with, and they completely unravel because it's too much pressure. And then also, we live in a place where in a space, I should say, where we are pressured to hide our humanity. Right. Two things can be true at the same time. You can be incredibly strong and incredibly successful, but you can also be deeply hurt, deeply traumatized, deeply wounded. And so that conflict, it's almost like we're pressured to either be either or, instead
Mhm.
of saying, yeah, I'm doing really great in business, but my personal life, my relationship, I'm really having some challenges in my marriage, or I really feel mom guilt. Like just bringing the whole of who you are into conversations and into spaces, and we really haven't gotten permission to do that.
And when you talk about healing, what are there some common themes that you see that minority women are not letting themselves heal from as far as situations and backgrounds? What do you, is there something that just kind of keeps coming up over and over and over when you're speaking with your clients?
Shame comes up a lot. Shame comes up a lot, and shame comes up a lot. The premise of shame is not that you've done something wrong, it's that you are something wrong. And so there's just this nagging feeling that something about me is not right. And so people equate it to what they call imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
So shame will lend itself to feelings of unworthiness. But whenever you feel shame, you're going to hide whatever it is that you're ashamed of. So what I find is that people are really holding back parts of themselves and only putting forward the parts of themselves that they feel like will be accepted, instead of bringing the whole of themselves, right? Let me just hold this part back, because if you knew this about me, then your opinion of me might change, or I might lose your approval. And so it's a lot of shame. So it can be shame around body, shame around relationships, shame around money, shame around like what's really going on behind the scenes versus the picture that you've created. And so it's a lot of internal pressure.
Mhm. And I guess I would love to have a transparent moment about our workings together and how you've healed me when we started working together. And I still suffer from that. Um, I had and have a poverty mindset.
Mm,
And it's one of those things where people say, they laugh at me. They're like, you're too frugal, you're too cheap, all these other words. But it's something that is like deeply rooted in me that will not let me, and it is difficult for me to live in abundance as far as material
mm,
or
mm,
things that I feel. And it's not that I don't feel that I'm worthy of it. It may be shame because I don't want to come off as too flashy, or it may be a situation where I'm afraid that it's going to go away. And so I need to hoard it. I need to save, 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 and not spend. And I know we had some really, really deep discussions about that because as a business owner, I need, the more you taught me, the more that I let go, the more comes back to me as far as wealth, abundance, And it was a mindset shift that you helped me with, because it was not until I started working with you that I was able to say that I have a multi-million dollar business.
Mhm.
It's not that I didn't think I was capable of it. It was a mindset, poverty, just veil that I had, that you helped me just kind of uncover. And I'm very thankful to you for that. And so that's why, one of the reasons why I'm always like, talk to Leticia, talk to Leticia. She will help you get to the next level, because you definitely helped me get to the next level. I still struggle with it, but I'm far more open to living in abundance because of you. And so I want you to talk about the importance of mindset and what mindset is, because even before working with you, I would hear people say, "Oh, it's your mind, it's your mind, it's your mind." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. You got to put in this work, keep grinding, get on this hamster wheel, keep going.
Mhm.
Forget this whole mindset stuff." But then you open my eyes. So open everyone's eyes about the importance of mindset.
The importance of mindset is so crucial that it's probably the thing that people need most, and it's the thing that people go to the least, or when there's just some kind of crisis. But mindset is just simply the collective of your thoughts and your deeply ingrained beliefs. Most of our thoughts are not conscious, they are subconscious thoughts. So you've got subconscious thoughts that are running the show 90% of the time. So if we just unpack what you said a little bit about, okay, I have a multi-million dollar business, but something won't let me enjoy it. It could have been the scarcity, that something in me says that it's going to go away or it won't always be here. So, I have to always be prepared, right? So that this doesn't happen. But the other part of that is, who who do you betray? Whose thinking do you betray when you go so far beyond your, maybe your peers or your friends or your closest friends or those people that are around you? It separates you in a way that makes you uncomfortable. It separates you in a way that can oftentimes, just bring attention that you don't necessarily want, right? Because you've done this thing. Not just always people asking for something, but you had to really think so much differently to get where you are. And so you betrayed people in a sense, right? You betrayed a prevalent thought pattern that has been existing around you. And so sometimes it's easier not to want to feel the discomfort of that. Because when you go past other people, not like it's a competition, you remind people of what they could do and what they could be. And sometimes that's very triggering for people. And sometimes it disrupts our relationships. So a lot of times we will just shrink back and play small because we don't want to be the disruptor.
And I feel like before working with you, I was definitely playing small. I did not want to be seen. I just, I wanted to live in my bubble. What I was doing was what I was doing. And I didn't really want people to know. It's not that it was a secret,
Yeah.
but I just did not feel comfortable. And I still struggle with it, kind of tooting my own horn or doing things that bring a spotlight, because to me, it's just like, well, I'm just doing what I do.
Mhm.
I'm just, what's going on? But there is something special about this.
Your exact words were cringeworthy. It was cringeworthy.
Yeah, it does. It does. But then I have to remember and remind myself how and what I'm doing that got me here. I'm helping people. I am changing their lives as the way you've changed my life. So why not scream it from the rooftops? And
I agree.
also, I realized that a lot of the people that I was just like, oh, well, what would they say? They're really not saying anything. It's like I'm afraid of stuff that hasn't even manifested. And
Mhm.
if they do say something, who cares? Who
Mhm.
cares? That's
Mhm.
not going to stop me from doing what I know is right and what I know I was called to do, which is help people throughout the legal process. So it's tough. It's tough. And especially for minority women. And I always say the hamster wheel syndrome, like always just running, running, running. And we got to allow ourselves to rest. So, how do you encourage minority women to renew themselves and rest and slow down and really think about what they want.
Do you know this probably before I go there, I wanna say something. You talked about, like, you still deal with, this whole thing. Sometimes people think that we have to get over things. We don't have to get over them, we get through them, right?
Mhm.
We get through them. We have an awareness, and when you see something, you can shift it. So it's not always like, "Oh, I'm completely over fear, or I'm completely over this." Healing is a lifelong journey, as is growth, right? So I just wanted to say that. But your question was, what was how do I get them to slow down or
And to rest and to really think mindfulness when we're so busy wearing so many hats.
I can tell you that that's probably one of the most difficult things to do because people feel like I really don't have time. So, what I ask people, where are you in your own calendar? Not your business appointments, but where are you in your calendar, your time for you? Because if you have you in your calendar and all of the things that make you you and the things that are important to you, you will see that you don't have as much time as you think. But what happens is we're getting the crumbs of our own time. And
Mhm.
so those people that are closest to us then get the crumbs and get the leftovers while we give the world the best of us. And that just is not sustainable. So people I was just with someone yesterday, and I'm looking and I'm like, we're going on a downward spiral here. I can see it. I can see the fumes. I can see that we're about to run on fumes when I'm saying rest is restorative. Rest is not doing nothing. Most people don't have time in their week to think, to
Mhm.
just have time to think or to do nothing. And if you don't put you in your calendar and make you a priority, it's just not going to happen. So it has to become a non-negotiable, but it feels very counterproductive and very counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's definitely true because we're always thinking if I'm resting, I'm being lazy.
Mm-mm.
I'm not living up to my potential. I have to go all the time. And I'm a firm believer that if you don't stop yourself, something will stop you.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely will.
you always want to say, okay, well, I'm stopping because I want to stop, as opposed to someone stopping me or stopping you. So, but my grandma used to always say that's the pot calling the kettle black because I struggle with that. I struggle with that all the time. But I'm trying. I'm trying. Work in progress. So I
Just
want to,
start small. Just do
yeah.
small things. So, for example, my time to myself every single day, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. There's nothing on my calendar before 10 a.m. unless I personally say I want to do this. But that those hours until then, they are mine for my personal routine, whether that's prayer, meditation, working out, listening to podcasts, whatever it is that I choose to do, that's my time. So I give that time to me. So by the time I'm showing up to someone, guess what? I'm showing up and I'm like a buffet, not like a beggar, because I don't have the crumbs of my own life. So I'm always ready to give because I'm constantly replenishing myself. So I try to invite people to do that.
I'm about to take that phrase. I'm a buffet and not a beggar.
Right.
That's good. So when you hear that, y'all know that I got that from Letitia, and that's just what that's what my new phrase. So Letitia, tell us about an ebook that you recently wrote.
Yeah, so that book is five mindset shifts that every minority woman entrepreneur needs to make. And the gist of it is overcome both the personal and financial barriers that are holding you back. Because most people think mindset and they think money. But what I find is that it's not most people's money mindset that's holding them back, right? One of the things that I talk about in there is healing the shame that holds you back. One of them is healing your relationship with money. Because a lot of times you're chasing money, and it's the more you chase it, the more it runs away from you because there is something in the relationship to money and with money that is unhealed. One of the things is speaking about just the way that we love and the way that we've been taught to approach love. Another one is developing an entrepreneurial mindset. So it's like looking at a holistic way or holistic things that we need to do to shift and show up differently. Because quite honestly, the money is the easier part when
Mhm.
you show up differently.
Wow, that is so true. I'm so happy. I cannot wait to read the ebook because if you have been able to come up with 5 principles
There's
that
more. I just had to like, okay, let me not write an encyclopedia
uh,
here. So,
yeah, just nuggets, just nuggets. No, I understand because it is such a wide open topic that needs to be discussed. And I think part of it with you having this ebook is opening the discussion about it because a lot of times we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about our struggles, and it creates a disservice for everyone around us because we're just not showing up as our authentic self, and that to me is exhausting in and of itself.
I
To know.
always tell people that when you can show up authentically, you will find your people because they will naturally be drawn to you because what's in you will be resonant with them. But as long as you have all of the layers and all of the facades and you're hiding your humanity, you're going to have people around you that are equally as inauthentic, right? So I think it's such a rare thing when you can connect with people at a real level, when you can have relationships that exist in truth and transparency, and you can show people the fullness of who you are, and they don't bat an eye. You know that is so rare. So I just want to invite women to just become more of who it is that they are, and they usually fear that if I do that, I'm going to lose. No, that's actually how you're going to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very true. That is very true, and that's something that I think we can all relate to. Is just as you grow, sometimes your acquaintances change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, well, often the way you use your time changes, and it can be kind of it can be scary. It can be scary getting out of that comfort zone and understanding that it's okay. It is okay, and just to take it one day at a time, because if you're staying stagnant, how can things change? They can't.
You said something so crucial. I needed to put that in the book. Maybe that's for the next one. But
Go ahead, put it in the book. Put it in the book.
when you grow, you outgrow. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. When you grow and when you're committed to your growth, you are going to outgrow. And so outgrowing relationships and outgrowing certain things that you needed to do, that you used to do, or maybe you used to enjoy, and you evolve, it's really okay. But sometimes we have this nagging sense of guilt when we're the person who's committed to the growth. I walked away from so many incredible relationships, and it's not that the relationships weren't good, but this is as far as this relationship goes on this journey. But the thing that I had to learn is that you can leave a relationship without abandoning the person, right? It used to be a time when I was still healing. I used to be like, I'm out. This
Mhm.
relationship no longer serves me. You know, that's the rhetoric that we hear. But you can leave a relationship without abandoning the person, without invalidating the other person and where they happen to be. It doesn't mean that it won't be painful to you or to them, but life is all about growth and expansion. And sometimes we just grow and we go on divergent paths, and it's really okay.
You have said a mouthful right there, because leaving a person and not abandoning them, how does that work when you, because to me it seems like one and the same.
No. So the difference, so here's the thing. We've taken responsibility for people as opposed to
Mhm.
having a responsibility to people. When I make a decision that is in my best interest, I'm not responsible for your feelings and everything else, right? I have a responsibility to you to be truthful, to be as transparent as I can, but I remember my coach told me, he said, you're not being authentic in your relationships because you're not being fully who you are. And he said, it's a codependent excuse for non growth. And I said, well, I don't want to hurt people. He said, no, you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to be uncomfortable.
Well,
You want to make
listen.
a decision. And he said, what you will find is that you're going to start experiencing things that you thought you were over because you are in spaces that are no longer for you. And I said, what about them? He said, this is their gift of growth. They might not appreciate it right now, but he said, you can't be responsible for them. You are responsible to them in that relationship. So it was a different dynamic. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, I'm out. You don't serve me. It's not that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and I'm about to fall out this chair because you are speaking the gospel right now. It is something.
It's not easy.
It's not.
Not an easy thing to do. Like it because I used to be the person who was just like, oh, it's gonna be a matter of time and she's out. Because I was the person that was always committed to growth. And
Mm.
people come and we don't like change, right? So when you grow and when you change something, you disrupt the relationship. And so a lot of times you're gonna get the fallout of that. But when you know in your heart that you're not coming from a malicious place, right? That
Right.
you are just being self-honoring as much as you possibly can. But to not grow would be you would be out of integrity with yourself.
Well, let me just drop the mic. Okay, you have said a word.
That's why people are in marriages, friendships, business partnerships, and all kinds of things, and they are miserable because the till death do us part, it died, but you're still trying to keep it alive. It's nobody's fault per se. It's just growth, right? And that's one of those little things about growth is that it will disrupt everything.
And in 2023, we are about growth. So, Leticia, please tell us how we can find you, how we can work with you, how we can get another word from you. We just need to find you.
Well,
How can we get that done?
you can get a word from me on the Winning Mind podcast. It airs every Tuesday. It's at 6 a.m. or Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Google, wherever you happen to listen to podcasts. So there, I preach the gospel there. I'm just
Okay.
raw and uncut there. As far as working with me, that's a different thing. I cherry pick who I work with personally, but I do have group coaching that's coming out first of the year for minority women entrepreneurs to deal with these things that we've swept under the rug, but now we're tripping over the rug. So that ebook is just simply the little, what do you call it? The precursor to
Mhm.
group coaching and helping people heal in a greater way. It's not work that a lot of people want to do because it's messy. A lot of it is intangible, right? A lot of it is just like, oh, it's not money, but how much is your healing worth? How much is peace of mind worth, right? How much is being able to communicate effectively worth? How much is being able to heal from shame worth, right? So I think that's priceless.
And amen. And amen.
Amen.
So I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. This has been Life and Law with Lashonda, Counsel Rogers, and again, Leticia DeSuze. Thank you so much for joining us today. This episode was more heavy on the life side instead of the law, but you have to get your life together to then understand the law.
Well, that's true. People are so much more than lawyers, and that's the part that people need to pay attention to, the life part.
Absolutely. So we thank you for tuning in. And again, thank you so much, Leticia.
Thank you for having me.
You've been tuning into Life Lessons in Law with Lashonda. In each episode, we have authentic and entertaining conversations about the impact of the law on women. I hope you'll join me each time. You can find this show on my website at www.thecounselfirm.com and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. We appreciate your positive comments and reviews. And don't forget to share this show with others. I've been your host, Lashonda Counsel Rogers.